Today, I'm so excited to be chatting with Sid Sur, located in the Toronto area, about his experience in the real estate space and how he's gotten to the point he is today with his real estate team. Sid, thank you so much for chatting today.
Yeah, thanks, Elena. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you about our business and how you've helped and see if I can help somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how long have you been in the real estate space? When did you start?
Yeah, so I got licensed in 2018, so I believe it's going on 6 years now.
Okay, so from 2018 to today, can you kind of share your journey of were you on a team initially or were you solo from the beginning? How did that look?
Yeah, so my journey is actually very interesting because my brother, he was a real estate agent himself, and I started investing in real estate 2012, 2013 time, and so did he, and he got his license in 2015. And my background has been in sales throughout my career, right? I've worked all kinds of sales industries, right? Healthcare, tech, advertised media, everything, right? You name it, insurance. And so he'd always kind of nudged me towards real estate. He said, "Look, you're doing sales, and let's build something together." And so I got licensed in 2018 because of him. And from that point on, him and I have been pretty much doing it, together until we formed the team in about 2021. In 3 years in, is when we started the team.
So, what made you decide to no longer just be a partnership, but to start to build a team?
I think it was more from a perspective of there's only so much we can do, and we need to be able to leverage other agents in order to scale and grow the business, right? I think as real estate agents, we wear so many hats, especially when you're starting out as a solo agent. You're the admin, you're the ISA, you're the listing coordinator, transaction coordinator, you do it all, right? And so I think the biggest lesson for us was, okay, first we need to hire some support in order for us to do the things that we don't want to do, right? Like the paperwork, the transaction coordination, the listing, uploading, and all that stuff, because that bogs you down. So I think it started there. And once we had that support staff in place, and the support staff was really my brother's wife, right? And so she helped a lot with that. Then she got licensed. And that's when we said, okay, we need to now that we have the support staff, now let's work on scaling our production. And again, same thing, right? There's only so many deals that you can do as an agent when you're two or three people. Now you need to start leveraging other agents in order to feed them business. That's when we're doing a lot of lead gen, online lead gen. And so we're like, okay, we need now, agents in order to facilitate and handle that part of the business just outside of our sphere.
So today, I know it's probably going to change even a month from now or a couple months now, but today, how is your team currently structured?
So right now, the way it's structured is we have the team leads, which is my brother and myself, and then we have our agents we primarily do still take care of all the listings ourselves, and then we have agents who mostly do the buying side. We
Uh,
have an ISA who does calls our leads. We do a lot of Facebook and Instagram lead gen. So, and part of that is obviously Follow Up Boss, and your system is a huge help when it comes to leveraging, the drips and all the follow up. So the ISA is responsible for calling and setting up appointments, which we then feed to the agents.
okay, so you mentioned lead gen. Can you go a little bit deeper if you're open to sharing?
Yeah.
How do you do lead generation? Do you do it yourself? Where do you advertise? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so our primary source of lead gen is Facebook and Instagram marketing. We tried Google and some other lead gen companies. They were great, nothing against those, but I found that for us, the one area that worked really well was Facebook leads, because there were two reasons. Number one, we wanted to build a database. That was our goal from the beginning. We want to build a large database, but we also want quality leads. With Facebook, we found that you can have a lot of quote unquote tire kicker leads. So they may not be ready to transact now. But again, our goal was to also build a database at the same time. They're a lot more cost effective. You can get Facebook leads for between $5 and $10 if you're really good at optimizing your ads. And so that's how we started, right? We started at Facebook and Instagram. And then from there, we started doing more landing page leads, but also through Facebook that were a lot more cost per acquisition. However, when you look at the cost per, acquisition overall, whether it's you're running like Facebook form leads or even landing page leads, they almost kind of work out to be the same. But you're with the landing pages, you're focusing more on quality versus quantity, right? Instead of having to call 10 people a day, you're maybe talking to one person a day, which is a quality lead. So we're now our focus is on both. We're building the database on the Facebook form side, but we're also doing landing page leads that are more high intent, but the cost per lead is more.
Okay, so are you building those ads and landing pages yourself? Do you have an in-house marketer or are you outsourcing it to an agency?
Yeah, so we actually hired somebody 2022, I believe, and he's a local guy from Toronto. We actually found him on YouTube, and he'd been great. I said, look, just show me what you're doing, and I'll pay you the same amount of money, and just show me how you're doing it. So he did it. His whole model was a done with you model, where he kind of just shows you, and then you do it yourself. And he basically just showed me, hey, this is how you do it. Facebook ads is not that hard to do, right? However, what you need to do is you just need to be actively monitoring and, making tweaks here and there. And I love that side of doing things, right? I'm pretty techie myself. I enjoy that side and I like to be overseeing it. Not that I love macromanaging, but I do enjoy that aspect. So for me, I was like, okay, this is something I enjoy. Let me try to do it on my own. And if I ever need assistance or help, I can pull somebody in. I have a lot of resources. So if I needed to, I can always pull him aside and be like, hey, can you show me what I'm doing here? Is this right? So we did hire somebody at first, and then he helped build it out, and then he kind of showed me the ropes, and then from there I took over, and I still manage it now.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So not only you're the co-founder of the team, but now you're also sort of like acting as a CTO where you're handling the technology for the team as well.
You got it. Yeah.
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 So besides lead generation, do you get business from other avenues? Do you get business from Sphere, referral, past clients, anything like that?
Yeah, so it's funny, before Follow Up Boss and before we put in your, the KTS system, we pretty much relied heavily on, picking up the phone and then calling our past clients, like, okay, who do we call? Like, who's on our Excel sheet, right? And so pretty soon it was getting out of hand where we're like, okay, we need a proper system in place. And once we got the CRM and onboarded everything, we had a more clear picture of, okay, these are our past clients. This is who we should be in contact with. And then once we had the, your drips in place and your past client, nurture campaigns, now we're starting to see more and more, okay, this is who we need to touch base with and so often. And because some of the things are automated, it helps take a lot off of our plate. And when it comes to like the guesswork of like, who do we call? And because I think the way Follow Boss is designed is so great, because especially with the smart list, right? You know exactly who you need to speak to the day you come in, and it just makes your life so much easier because you're like, okay, these are the people I have to call. No biggie, right? As opposed to looking at 10,000 leads and you're like, who do I call today?
Yeah, yeah, it's still a struggle for me, not as much today than it was last year, a couple of years ago, but I have a notepad here, I have a whiteboard over here, I
Yeah.
have notes on my computer, notes on my phone, plus Follow Up Boss. So it's definitely an ongoing learning experience of if it didn't happen and Follow Up Boss didn't happen, and there's a reason why you want to use a CRM. Like you mentioned, you don't want to be guessing, you don't want to have this long Excel spreadsheet of a bunch of people, you don't know where to start unless you're like color coding things, and that's not a good use of your time. How did you land on Follow Up Boss? Was that just the very first CRM you tried? How did you decide to use it?
Yeah, so I know we actually had one prior to Follow Up Boss. I think it was Agent Locator, and which had the IDX built into it, and it was great, right? But I think for us, I always say this to people, it doesn't matter which CRM you use, it's how you're using it, right? And it's how are you efficiently using it to all its capabilities and all its functions? So there's so many CRMs out there. We weren't using Agent Locator for how it was supposed to be used, right? And to be quite frank, I didn't really know how to use it properly. It was also a big lead gen source for us because they also do ads. So it was helping us get leads, but we weren't working the leads, right, with the CRM. And so the way we found Follow Up Boss was just through talking to some of our industry, friends, and there's some top producers. And one common thing I noticed between them is I kept hearing the word Follow Up Boss, Follow Up Boss. I'm like, I gotta give this a try. So I signed up for it. I think they had a trial when I started. I don't remember now. But to me, it seemed very user-friendly and very clean. And I come from a background of using Salesforce, cloud-based, CRMs. And it kind of hit a chord with me. Like, I know how to use this. I like it already. It's very intuitive. And again, I could have done the same thing with the other CRM too, but I don't think I really took the time to learn it. And also, when I heard other people using it, also pushed me to want to learn it more. And that's how I found it. And, I found the community, which was really nice and tight-knit and very helpful, the Facebook groups and the conferences that they do. I thought, okay, this is great because they have not just a great CRM, they also have a community built around people that want to help each other. And I think that really is something that made me really go all in on it.
Yeah, yeah, the community stands out a lot to me, and the support staff, the support you get from Follow Up Boss. So when did you say you signed up for Follow Up Boss?
I want to say it was just the beginning of 2022, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you originally hear about our services, Kee Technology?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I found you in the community, in the Facebook groups, right? I kept seeing your name pop up. And when I saw your name pop up multiple times, because obviously you're very involved in the community and you're there offering free value and, help. And I was like, okay, she obviously knows what she's talking about. So let me reach out. And I'm pretty sure we had a meeting one-on-one on Zoom like this in the beginning. And then at that time, we were still working through, we had a lot going on with our business at that time. We were super swamped. This was a hot market in 2022, right in the beginning, when things were absolutely insane. I don't know, I'm pretty sure it was the same in the US, but in Canada, it was absolutely bananas, right? We couldn't keep up with the deals that we were doing. And so we kind of, your service at that time kind of fell off my radar until I met you at the FUB conference in LA, and I saw you at the mastermind, and I'm like, we have to get you on board, because at this time we're also lacking in our support from being efficient with the CRM. We had everything in place, we had all of our leads, but again, I wasn't using the CRM properly. So I'm like, okay, listen, before things get out of hand, because they were already starting to, like, we need help cleaning this up. And that's when I approached you at the conference. And after that, we kind of just, put things in motion right away.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned you have a lot of sales background in CRMs, and you really like technology, and you had already started to really dive into Follow Up Boss, and you knew what your problems were. What made you decide to seek outside help rather than continuing to do the grind, continuing to maybe lean on the community to solve these problems yourself?
Listen, it's time, right? There's so many ways you can do things. Look, I tell people this as well. I tell clients, like, that are my clients, I go, you can sell a house yourself. You don't need me, right? You can do it yourself if you want to. I have YouTube videos on it. You can go on YouTube and you can learn how to do it, but then just keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of hurdles along the way, and you could do it, but is the end result going to be the same that you want, right? And that's where you have to leverage resources, experts that can actually shorten that gap and actually maximize your results, your output, right? And it's the same thing that applied here. I knew I could do it. I'm pretty techie, and like I said, I play around with it a lot, and I did the best I could. But I'm like, okay, do I want to really take all this time? My focus is on production. So let me pull somebody in who's an expert. And it's that idea of, shrinking your time almost in a fraction, where everything I need to be done can be done in, like, as fast as you guys did it. It's just leveraging time and expertise, right? Why do it when you can delegate it and utilize your time in other ways? So that was the main reason, was have an expert come in, do it. And then obviously you guys also have the support afterwards, where if we did have questions, you guys, help with that. And you guys have your own community, which is great. So to me, it just made sense. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah. So you've mentioned while we've been talking different things that we gave you, different campaigns for nurturing, past clients, the smart lists. So remind me, when did we initially work with you and get your Follow Boss account set up?
I think it was end of last year, so end of probably fall of 2023. I would,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So since then, have you seen any improvement in the sort of the holes and gaps you saw in your CRM and your team's workflows?
Absolutely. I think our biggest challenge at the time was how do we sort our leads, right? Because we were getting to a point where uh, leads were coming in. We had a lead flow, but they weren't organized in their, silos or in the categories that they needed to be in, right? We didn't have the right stages in place. We didn't have the right smart lists in place. The whole idea behind structuring your follow-up boss to the way that you've built it is how can I make my time more efficient, right? Because as agents, our biggest challenge is time, right? There's only so much time we have to make calls, to put up a listing, to sell something. So it helps you buy back your time because now the major improvements that we saw were in, okay, who do I say have to call every day? Who are our active clients, right? Who's our past clients? Who are these people that are falling off? And they're now going into their specific smart lists or even action plans where everything is sort of working in the background and you know where everything needs to be, right? All your leads, the stale leads, the new leads, what kind of flow are they going in? So it just, you know, uh, kind of brings it all together and just helps you organize your database in a way where you know exactly how you need to work it.
Yeah, yeah. So we've been working together about half a year. Um, because we're not sort of a subscription-based model, there can be a common fear people have that they'll pay for our services, we'll give it to them and say bye-bye. So you mentioned our support. Can you share a little bit more about how our support was initially and if we've kept in touch, what has that been like?
Yeah, listen, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here doing the interview with you. I think it's, you and I know I've referred you clients, since we just shortly after we signed on. And I don't just refer people out, especially colleagues that trust me and, that I vouch for that easily. So when I refer somebody out, I really believe in that service and that product. So you guys have been fantastic from that end. The support that from the onset to onboarding to the post onboarding when your team reached out asking if we had any questions, but also asking, hey, do you want to add this action plan because I think it would make sense. And because we specialize in new construction, pre-construction, I remember you reaching out and sending me some drips, asking for feedback. So I think you guys not just have the support staff, but you also the feedback that you ask for, I think is good because it's only not just, making your service better, but it's also enhancing the services of the existing clients, right? And I really appreciate the fact that you are involved in the community asking for feedback from everybody. I think that's
I
fantastic.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yep. It's always an evolving process. As the real estate market's always evolving and your business is always evolving, we also need to be doing the same and making sure we're hitting all of the necessary points of of your CRM. Like you mentioned, a big part of your business is pre-construction, and in a couple months it'll be available to everybody, for people like yourself that either it's their main source of business or a portion of their business. It just requires a different type of messaging to the leads and to the clients.
Totally. I think even just to add to that, when you do send out the drips, right, and those are customizable. So even if we have to change some of the lingo to cater to our micro market, right, it's very easy to do. But the hard thing is getting those drips in place, right? Because somebody has to start putting the drips in. So I think that's a great starting point. And for anybody that's wondering, well, is this gonna matter to my market? Yes, it is. I mean, you still have to go through the drips and make sure that everything falls in place and that it makes sense for your market. And I think from that point, again, Follow Boss is great because nothing is set in stone, right? You can go in there and you can customize it to your liking, including the greetings or how you sign off and things like that. So that's been very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, last question before I let you go. If someone were on the fence about working with Key Technology, maybe they're watching your video, they've watched others, but they're not quite sure if it's going to be worth it to them or they're a little bit scared, what would you tell them?
I would say do it because, it's one of those things where once you do, you'll realize how much load and pressure you're taking off of yourself, right? And again, I'm a huge proponent on time management. You're buying back your time, right? As an agent, your number one priority should be being in front of as many people as possible. That's it. It shouldn't be managing a CRM. It shouldn't be putting in the filters and then doing all this stuff. If you have the time, sure, do it. But again, how effective and how efficient are you being with your time? So if it's important for you to be in front of clients, if it's important for you to be in production, and it's important for you to scale, then you need to find ways of buying back your time, whether it's hiring support staff or whether it's getting a CRM or whether it's getting your services. All those things buy back your time, because what you're doing is you're delegating. The support and the community, that to me is like a bonus on top of what you're getting after you get your service, right? So not only are you buying back your time, now you have support, ongoing support. If you need any assistance with something that doesn't make sense, that's there. So if you're on the fence, I would just do it. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, a couple of years ago, I don't know if you've ever read the book by Tim Ferriss called, I think it's called 4 Hour Work Week. Although it's like very hard to make that realistic and to ever happen,
Yeah.
I had to practice what you're saying of buying back my time, where I wasn't necessarily practicing what I preach of hiring help, because there's only so much you can do as a single person or dual partnership before you have to onboard help. Otherwise, you're either drowning or you're just very, taking on very low dollar per hour. So definitely have experienced that myself, and it was really hard for me to let go of those reins, but I eventually did and hired help just like you did. But
Yeah. And
yeah,
once you do, it's hard to go back because you see the
yeah,
value in it, right? And you see the value, and then you're like, I can't imagine how I was doing this before.
yeah.
So again, it's one of those things where it's an after. Once you do it, you realize what a huge help it was and how you can never go back to the old ways again.
Yeah, and once you do it, you think, okay, what else am I doing? Because your job description's always evolving and changing. Where now I'm sort of evolving into the marketer. Like, okay, now I need to hire help for marketing, just like you hired help
Yeah.
temporarily to make your time more efficient. So, well, I really appreciate your time, Sid. I know people will definitely find this valuable, and yeah, just thank you again.
Awesome, Elena. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I look forward to connecting as we go on this year.